Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and gamers. How are we all tonight? Welcome to the 12th episode of Stasis Chat. Yes, I know, 12 episodes. So, to start off, tonight we have Sentinel 17, as always.
Hey.
We have a friendly pest with his VR knowledge.
Howdy.
We have BMG.
Good evening, all.
And we have the one and only and host, say it with me, LUKE STEELE.
LUKE STEELE.
LUKE STEELE.
It's like an echo, that one. All followed on.
We didn't practice. We didn't practice.
Yeah. Thanks very much for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Welcome to Stasis Chat. Welcome to this side of, this side of the internet. How are you this week?
I'm okay. Yeah, not well. I've got COVID at the moment, so I'm not. I can't say I'm 100%, but today's been a lot better, which is nice. So I'm well enough to participate, which is good. And looking forward to just having a chat.
That is such a nice microphone you have. That thing, really nice.
Yeah.
I know. I was about
Picks
to
up
say,
all.
it makes his voice sound so sexy.
It picks up all the horrible virus in my throat.
Oh. So what have we all been playing this week? Pest?
I didn't expect you to start with me. Hang on a second. Brain not working.
It's a VR game.
Yeah, I played some VR stuff. I'm trying to think if I tried anything new. And I don't think I did, but I did spend some time with it's a VR MMO called Zenith. And every time I play that game, I'm impressed more and more. I think I'm going to spend more time with that. Great game. Lots of excellent mechanics. Everything feels good. Story seems like it's okay. It looks nice. Yeah, I'm really enjoying that one. So that's what I played this week.
Sentinel?
I've been playing through the luxury DLC for House Flipper, and the base game is available through Game Pass, but I bought it way back when it first came out, and pretty much every DLC that came out, I was buying it. I'm still waiting on the HGTV DLC to eventually make it to console gamers. They have all types of stuff for PC gamers, of course, but it takes time for it to trickle down to console gamers. So really enjoying the luxury DLC. There's just so much to it. It's like if you enjoy that type of game where you're renovating houses and stuff, House Flipper and its DLCs are definitely worth picking up.
Luke?
I've been playing a few different things. So I've been playing Kirby on the Switch, of all things, the Forgotten Lands, which is actually a really, really great game. I've nearly finished that now because I just wanted something to kind of pick up and just kind of enjoy and not have to, concentrate too heavily on. It's not a particularly difficult game or anything like that, so that was quite nice. So I've been playing some of that. I've nearly, finally, years later, finished Cyberpunk now. So I'm on the last mission, which kind of came abruptly from my playthrough, which was a bit weird, but there we go. I've been playing a bit of A Plague's Tale Requiem, because that was on the backlog as well, so I'm trying to get through that. And I've been replaying The Last of Us Part 2 as well, which is partly motivated by the show. I'd already played Part 1 recently, so I didn't want to replay that again so soon. But quite a few different things, and I'm really looking forward to Friday because that's when the Dead Space remake comes out. So we'll be picking that up.
I need to pick that up. And Marvel Snap, I'm guessing. BMG.
Yes, you guessed it. Playing a lot more Marvel Snap. Been playing it for most of today, actually, because it's the handy mobile game of the year mobile game. It's the best mobile game on the planet, and I highly recommend everyone playing it. It just keeps getting better and better. Jumped into a bit more of WWE 2K22, just having a few matches, having a bit of a laugh. Star Wars Battlefront 2, recently downloaded that because it's one of them games you can kind of just pick up, play, have all-out warfare, and then drop again. You don't have to kind of think too much about it. Just defend, suppress, and move on. What else I jumped into? Battlefield 2042. Been playing a bit of that, and I recently discovered that I'm a very good sniper. And I think I've said on a previous show, as long as they don't move, I'm quite good. Quite good at that. I've also been playing a bit of Jurassic World Evolution 2. That's the park sim. For whatever reason, has had the urge to jump back into that. And really good game, optimized for the Series S and X, so that's been a bit of fun. And I jumped back into last night just to give it a try. Star Trek Online. I remember playing it originally when it came out for the PC. It was god awful. But it plays really nice. They've completely changed the content, how it starts, how it plays. So I'm enjoying a bit of that. And I've also been playing Redacted, that I can't talk about.
Pest, did I just hear BMG admit he was playing on a PC?
No.
No, there's a console version of that game. I played the PC version at launch, and I always kind of liked that game. I think the stories in it are fairly good. Like, some of the execution wasn't there, but it definitely improved with time. I think that's a pretty good game.
Oh, there's a lot in there. I played it on PC originally when it came out, like 9 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that.
Oh, no, it was a long time ago. It was a mess when it launched.
Oh, yeah. Back when my PC could actually run it. Now, my PC barely runs bloody Microsoft Excel more than anything else. But yeah. Other than that, all good.
Good. Me, I've been playing Call of Duty Zombies at the start of last week, and to be honest, I've actually picked up Bully for the first time in years.
Wow, that's going back. That is an old game.
That's a throwback,
Classic game.
How does it play?
Well, I got the remastered version on Xbox One.
I didn't realise they remastered it.
Well, they brought it up more than anything. But it plays really well, actually. Still, obviously, a bit janky in places, but it's still the game I remember and enjoyed. But yeah, that's what I've been playing this week.
So what Call of Duty Zombies are you playing? Is that in the new one?
I'm playing Call of Duty Cold War, which is 2020's game.
Ah, right, okay. What are they up to now? What's the one that's out now?
Vanguard. Oh, yeah, Vanguard.
Vanguard's the new one.
Pretty sure it's the new one off the top of my head.
Fair enough.
I want to start by saying thank you to UK Desirous for joining us tonight. Got it after such an amazing and eye-opening podcast on Friday night. Thank you for joining us tonight. So I want to start with the PlayStation VR2 launch lineup. BMG. You've already got one?
No, I've not got one. I did pre-order the PlayStation VR2, but with finance reasons, I've had to drop it. Luke's got one coming, hopefully launch day or a day or two after. Looking at the lineup though, and what they're actually offering, because they've kind of said it's the launch window, haven't they? They haven't really. These games are going to come out by, I think, March. That's kind of the launch window they're going through. But a lot of these games are already on other VR headsets, like your Star Wars, your Moss, your Jurassic World, your Creed, your Cities VR, things like that. Looking actually at the lineup, I don't think it's that brilliant, if I'm honest. There's nothing there I would say that really would jump out to me. If you're a racer fan, Gran Turismo 7, that's going to be good. Horizon Call to the Mountain, I don't think that's not launch day, that's in the launch window. So that's probably going to be quite a decent one. The update for No Man's Sky, I did play No Man's Sky VR on the PlayStation VR 1, and it was brilliant, absolutely amazing. Don't get me wrong, graphics weren't brilliant, but PSVR wasn't really pushing graphic-wise, but it was an amazing experience being in your ship, looking around your cockpit, and then going from planet to space and vice versa. So with the power of the PlayStation 5 and the VR2, I can imagine that's going to be a really, really good game, if I'm honest. Tetris Effect and that, again, it's already out. Resident Evil Village VR, if you've got the game, you get I think, not 100%, but I'm pretty sure you get the VR version for free as a patch. But I can't be 100% on that. But other than that, to be honest, it's quite a lackluster lineup. I was hoping, to try and, learn from what they did last time and maybe just have some big swinging out the gate, but doesn't look like it's going to be this time round, if I'm honest.
Luke?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think just to add, I think Horizon Call of the Mountain is launch day, because I think that's bundled with some of the VR packages that you can get. So that's kind of the big hitter, really, from a VR perspective, from a game perspective, for launch, which looks really great, and obviously it's pretty triple A as far as VR goes. I think in terms of visuals and scale and stuff like that. I don't know how big the experience will be, but it looks really cool. So that's the thing I think the majority of people will play. And then I mean the other stuff is kind of either VR bolt-ons to existing non-VR games, like the GT7 stuff, which actually really interests me because I haven't picked up GT7 yet. So I think that's something that I will pick up once VR hits, because then I can experience it from that perspective, which would be cool. And the other stuff is there's some really interesting titles there, but there's nothing that's sort of unbelievable in terms of day one or launch window.
Sentinel?
I think so far, the lineup for PSVR2, all the games, it does look like it looks pretty impressive. It looks like they're trying to cover as many major genres as they can, racing, sports, shooting, different stuff like that. And I mean, for people that are because a lot of people may not remember how PSVR's lineup wasn't anywhere near as substantial as this, not really like solid games. And it seems like they're putting a lot more effort into getting this lineup, with a very solid foundation from the start, because they really want people to invest in PSVR2. They don't want it to be niche like it used to be, where only a small fraction of the PlayStation gamers picked it up. They want a good portion of PlayStation gamers who own a PS5 to try out PSVR2, to adopt it, because if you have a lot of people adopting it, it's going to basically entice other developers to bring their games to the PSVR2, and it's going to allow those that have already made games to consider sequels.
Do I let him loose?
What's that?
Tag me in. Tag me in.
Yeah.
Go.
Friendly pest.
Okay. I'm gonna step out of character and disagree with every single person on the cast except Sentinel. BMG is just wrong, which is actually true to form. I looked up the PlayStation 4. Now,
Wow.
the PlayStation 4 launch lineup consisted of like 18 games, and I don't know if any of them were anywhere near the caliber of some of them on this list. Just looking through. Wait, I did that wrong. I'm going to start over. BMG's wrong. And the PlayStation 4 launched with like 26 games, right? But most of them were terrible. Most of them were filler titles. Just glancing through this picture, I'm seeing at least 18 of these that I would bet money will be hits. And maybe they're already hits and maybe they're not out yet. But I think it's a pretty stellar lineup for a new piece of hardware coming to market.
But the majority of them are already out on other headsets. So is that really going to sell?
This will be the definitive edition of some of these, especially because the eye tracking features that are not available on other headsets that are going to be coaxed for the software on the PS5. I mean, there are some really high-end PC headsets and high-end PCs that you could argue would have a comparable experience, but I think this is going to come in strong and be very performant as well.
Yeah.
But do we think they're going to sell 1 million units in the first year? Because that's kind of what their target is, isn't it? 1 million units.
I think so. I think so. And I think I heard that there's something like 100 titles coming down the pipe for PSVR2 outside of these 30 for launch window. So I'm optimistic.
Yeah. I think 1 million units is. I don't think that's super ambitious in a year. I mean, I know it's an expensive peripheral to an existing console, but it's 12 month tracking for 1 million units. I think is very doable, particularly if they get some of the bigger Sony VR games, like obviously Horizon. They'll have others as well, and also it's one of those products that I think some people will look at that maybe do have PCs to potentially run VR spec, but actually look at the feature set of the PSVR2 and then the price, which is pretty good relatively speaking for what you get, and kind of plump for that as well. So one of the ones I did like the look of, actually, just thinking about it, was and I think this is already out, but I'd only recently seen it, was the Dark Pictures Switchback VR, which I think is the one that has the enemies that only move if you blink.
That's terrifying.
Which is both terrifying and super cool. So I'm quite looking forward to that. Although quite how much I'll be able to stomach is another thing. But there were some others as well. I think another one, but really cool. The kayak one, Kayak VR Mirage. That looked really, really nice, like a really different experience. And it's not like it's a big blockbuster game or anything, but I think those kind of experiences are really good, just to have. I don't think it's like a bad lineup or anything like that. But obviously they're not trying. I think as Friendly Pest says, that they're trying to get in a lot of games that this will be the best way to play that particular VR game, even if it's already out on other VR platforms. So when you combine that with Horizon, I think it's a pretty good lineup.
I mean, just glancing at it, there's some really high quality games on here, outside of the exclusives, even.
Yeah. But I think probably long term, the thing that will help them sell units will be whatever Sony produces, kind of platform exclusive titles. That will help, and that's where we don't know what they're doing at the moment. I mean, they're clearly more invested in supporting, making high quality titles for it. But we don't know which developers are working on them and what they look like and that sort of stuff. So, and also they need to do something with Valve to get Half-Life Alyx on there, because I really want to play that. So
I thought that would have been a launch game with it, with everything it's on now. You would have thought that would have been on that list, ready to go.
Yeah, but it's Valve, so It depends
I
on.
mean, we've been waiting for Half-Life 3 for 20 years.
Yeah, it's difficult because Valve kind of beats to their own drum, and like I think probably I can only assume that Sony are really interested in bringing it to the platform because I think it's such a first of all such a big IP, but also by all accounts an incredible game, even outside of the VR elements of it. But maybe they have struck a deal to bring that game to PSVR2, but who knows when that'll be. I'd hope maybe within a year of them announcing it, but they've got to announce it first, right? So yeah, I just really want it because I was very, very close to picking up a Valve Index for that game. So
You've not played Half-Life Alyx?
I have not, no, sadly.
Okay. No, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think it might be a little overhyped. I played all the way through. It's a good game. There's no question. There's a lot of detail. There's a lot of that Valve quality in there. They've just got so much money that nobody can make them do anything they don't want to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's whether Gabe wants to do it, really, is the question.
Well, and rumor is that they're putting out their own standalone headset, which they've not officially announced yet, but there's a lot of people think that the Steam Deck is kind of step one into that eventual headset, and you'd think they'd want to save Alyx for that.
Yeah, maybe.
Heard it here first, guys. So, Pest, on that list that we've got in front of us.
Sure.
Which ones have you played, and which ones would you suggest?
Okay, let's see. I've got the graphic. It's hard to see. I've played After the Fall, which I like a lot. I think kind of a Left 4 Dead game, but everything's frozen. That's a really good game, and it does a good job offering more simulation aspects like manual reload or an arcade reload where you just kind of smack the gun against your chest. Fun level design. That's a great game. That's going to play amazing on PSVR2, in my opinion. Cities VR, believe it or not, that type of game, would you got an isometric view, you're over a city, or like Demio over the board game and be able to look down and manipulate things. That's very satisfying in VR. Those are both going to be hits. I just installed Creed yesterday, but I haven't played it yet. But I have played Thrill of the Fight, which is another boxing game, and I enjoy that a lot. I have not played Gran Turismo 7, but my Wednesday video will feature Automobilista 2, which is a racing game I use in VR with my racing wheel, and I think that is the absolute best way to play a racing game. I have played the Kayak Mirage game, which is an interesting, soothing experience. I did enjoy. I don't know what kind of staying power something like that has. I think that's kind of like Flight Simulator. It's going to have a niche audience, right?
Yeah.
But it is really cool, and it's pretty good exercise. So it might find an audience. Last Clockwinder, I've played that. That's a pretty good heartfelt puzzle game, really neat puzzles. I think that one will take off. I've played Moss 1, which is a good little platformer. Moss 2 I haven't played. No Man's Sky I've played. That's pretty good also, but I expect the PSVR 2 version is going to be much better than the experience I had on PC because it's very difficult to run, not very well optimized, and some of the VR elements felt like they were kind of shoehorned on. So I expect that will be improved. Pavlov's great. Pistol Whip is awesome. Not played Resident Evil. Song in the Smoke wasn't crazy about. Tetris Effect is awesome in VR. And then the Walking Dead Saints and Sinner, I think that's a top 3 VR game. And Zenith is that MMO I mentioned earlier, really great.
Have you played Thumper in VR?
I have not.
Because I've played that non-VR, and that's a pretty intense experience, even non-VR. So I imagine it's quite sensory overload.
That's a music rhythm game?
Yeah, it's a bit like I guess it's closest to something like Rez, but it's far more psychedelic than even Rez is. It's also much more intense in terms of the speed of travel of things.
No, I've not tried that. I miss Demio. Demio's on there. That's a great game, especially co-op. Imagine a tabletop adventure board game and you roll dice and use cards. That's great. People are going to love that.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'll pick up I'll be picking up a few when it launches. In addition to Horizon, so I'm looking forward to. I mean, pretty much for all of these, I've not experienced them in VR ever. Some I've experienced non VR, like Tetris or Thumper. But
And I think compare that to like the PlayStation 4 launch. You had Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which was good, Battlefield 4, Call of Duty Ghosts, Killzone Shadowfall, Knack, NBA, Madden, Reshogun, people liked that. Warframe, pretty weak launch lineup in comparison to the PSVR2, in my opinion.
I mean, it's looking good. Is the PSVR2? I mean, it looks good on all fronts. I mean, the hands-on experience is that it's a leap forward in comfort, immersive VR, and a huge improvement over its predecessor. So, it's looking good.
It's
Have you
definitely
managed?
it's definitely an improvement. Because with the PSVR 1, it was very comfortable. That's one thing the headset was. It was comfortable. But I think a lot of people, myself included, did cause a lot of like eye strain and headaches because all it takes is because it was done by. You had to have the camera. You had to buy everything separate. You didn't. It's not a complete package as it is now. In the PSVR 2, you're getting the headset and the DualSense controllers. In the PSVR 1, all you got was the headset. You had to buy the wands because they brought the wands out for the PlayStation 3 with the little light balls on top. And then you had to buy the cameras separate. And all it took was you to like turn a bit too far or look up or down too far, and it just lost you and it kind of disorientated you with the screen. But by the looks of what this one is including, what is it you say? You get it's 4K OLED HDR display with a 110 degrees surround. So that's and it's lighter. How they've actually made it light is, it's crazy because obviously they've got the inside out tracking and things like that and cameras on the outside, what have you. And so, but yeah, looking at some of the impressions of it and some of the people that have got hands on with it, I think it was mid last month. Was it December they first got the hands on? I think it was. But yeah, no, it looks good. I want one. It's just a matter of cost, to be honest. And if you've already got the PlayStation 5, it's going to cost you half the price it is than having to get a console as well. Otherwise, you're spending, just over $1,000 to get it all, really, to be able to play it.
Luke, anything to add to that?
No, I agree. I think, I think it's a pretty good lineup. I'm looking forward to getting one. I'm sure it will be, every impression that I've read is says how massive a leap it is over PSVR. So I'm just really looking forward to getting it, and thank God it'll just be a single USB-C cable, because the biggest pain of the first one was the pass-through box and the various cables. It was just a bit of a nightmare to not only set up, but then to kind of cable tidy that was just hell. So I'm looking forward to it.
On the DualSense features as well, because as they've announced, you got the DualSense features in the controllers as well as the headset. So that'll be...
It could vibrate your face.
Oh, yeah. VR porn on a whole new level.
Unless you're Stubbs where it's on Windows 95.
Oh, it is exciting. They're adding a lot of features. The eye tracking, the OLED display. I'm really interested to see how that works out, because I think the Quest 1 had an OLED display, and they had to move away from that because the challenge of pixel density, et cetera, try to get away from that screen door effect. So they're kind of pushing the envelope in a lot of ways. I don't know. I think it's pretty exciting.
Sentinel?
I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. Am I sold on it? No, but I'm not a big VR guy either. but it's gonna get to the point where they're gonna have such an impressive lineup. It's gonna be hard not to check it out.
We'll see. I've been predicting for like a year that this year VR becomes the new goalpost location in the console war, right? And I think if that happens and it becomes the water cooler talk, and we'll see if the media gets behind it, because they're kind of older gamers like us, and I think older gamers shy away from the VR a little bit more. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But if it becomes the water cooler talk, everybody's going to be excited about it. It'll be hard to resist. I think it'll take off. I think that million's a pretty easy number.
I think we look at a lot of aspects of gaming right now, and a lot of it's stagnating. A lot of these like AAA developers are stupid with how they're trying to push live service rather than single player. So people are looking for something new that's not basically putting a hand in their goddamn wallet. And I think PSVR2 is going to be that. It's going to give them new and exciting experiences that aren't, basically, it's not going to be taking tons of cash from them, like these live service games or games as a service or any of that other crap that these developers or these huge publishers are doing right now. And then they're like, why is our game failing? Well, while they figure that out, I think PSVR2 is going to afford people an opportunity to enjoy gaming, something different that's going to kind of re-inject some of the fun that used to be so common, but it's very sparse nowadays. I think PSVR2 could be that I guess burst of excitement that a lot of gaming just doesn't have anymore.
I agree completely.
I think we're at that stage now where regular gaming is just becoming, what's the word I'm looking for?
We're tired of it, bro. We're tired of it.
Yeah,
Mundane. I mean,
yeah, that's the word, mundane.
See, if you play the PlayStation 5, there is no limits.
except when it comes to Forspoken, apparently.
We've applied for a review code of that, and I think I'm starting to regret it.
Yeah.
I think it's a good game. It's misunderstood. You guys are mean.
But they're not giving it out. This is the thing, because they're being very tight with who they're giving review codes to. They seem to be aiming at smaller YouTubers and only a couple of major outlets like VGC. They've been refused, and they normally get everything. So it's quite a surprise that they've been refused. Obviously, the likes of IGN have got it. So, but they have said, and on the actual when applying for a review code, they've said they're not giving them out until launch day, which is a bit strange. But
yeah. I know a lot of people are complaining about Forspoken having cringy dialogue. An easy workaround, obviously, is to pick a language that you don't speak. Put the spoken language into that language, and don't turn on the subtitles, and you'll be fine.
I love it.
Not have a clue what's going on and just
This
smiling.
game's amazing in Japanese.
Yep.
Love it. Is it fun? Is it a fun game? Like I saw the clip that everybody's on about, right? I don't have a PlayStation, so I'm pretty indifferent. I don't care. But is the gameplay any good, or what's?
It depends on who you ask.
Yeah. I watched the review, IGN's review today. It's like a 9-minute review. I think the biggest complaint is that it's like very barren. It's split up into like 4 areas, and it's like apart from putting a color filter on each area, they're pretty much the same, pretty much empty. All the side quests are literally repetitive. I think they showed one side quest where you've got to chase a cat home. Things like that. It's like
I don't want to hear.
Sounds
I don't want
good
to
to
hear
me.
any of that. People complaining about stupid side quests buying GTA 12 times. Okay.
they have the best missions ever.
They do not. But I got something inside me that, like, when people are dogpiling a game, I kind of want to try it and see if it's really that bad, because I have seriously enjoyed quite a few games that everyone else hated. Like, I liked Watch Dogs 1. I liked Crackdown 3. I love the Dead Rising games. So
I would say wait 72 hours after release. You'll probably get it for 50% off.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it comes with a PlayStation.
Yeah, at this point, they're going to have to be giving them away.
Yeah, the parkour though, the you know, everything I've seen, the parkour's amazing, and it's really, you can tell they put a lot into it, and it looks good.
I mean, the greatest comparison I heard was someone said Infamous did all of this but better, but it's like Sucker Punch doesn't make Infamous anymore. So when you're thirsty for Infamous, you play Forspoken, I guess. There you go. That's what it
Sounds
is.
okay. It sounds okay.
I played the demo, and the demo is kind of not good. But it's it's not good for different reasons for different people. But in terms of like parkour, world traversal and combat, I actually found it was pretty enjoyable. The problem with the demo was that it just gave you this kind of big space with kind of mundane objectives and really no explanation of how to do most things, and just said off you go. I think I read some reviews that said, well, it's kind of corrected in the game because it opens up abilities to you in a natural way, so that you understand stuff before you go on to the next ability. And some of the reviews were pretty positive in terms of the how the game plays and that it's fun. But the theme that I found with a lot of them was that it only gets like really, really enjoyable quite close to the end of the game. In terms of the main story. So when you've unlocked kind of everything you can unlock, which is a bit disappointing, I guess. But I didn't expect it to score particularly well. But I mean, as people have said, you can't just take these scores and think that that's what the game is, because you may love it. I mean, look, Death Stranding scored, mid-70s, something like that. I think it's one of the best games ever made.
I get that. That's a good point.
High on Life, scored I think similar to Forspoken, maybe high 60s.
Yeah.
But that's, again, for me, really enjoyable game. So I guess the only difference, I guess, with something like High on Life is that you don't need to pay, £70, $70 for High on Life if you've got Game Pass, which is, the big difference with Forspoken is the price outlay for people. So it's not one that I'll pick up yet, but I probably will pick it up down the line.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel about Days Gone. A lot of people crap on it, but I got the platinum for the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I loved it. Yeah, I thought it was great. So, yeah.
Okay, so going to the other side, the other main side of gaming. Sorry, that's not the PC guy side. Xbox Game Studios, Obsidian Entertainment. They've said our plate is full with Avowed, Grounded, and Outer Worlds 2. I don't know when we're going to start talking about new games, maybe towards the end of this year, but he would love to make another Fallout before he retires.
I mean, how old is he? Like 21, 22 or some shit? It's going to be a while today, Because, I mean, how long is it going to take to make a Fallout game? 6 years, 8 years? I mean, if he's not retiring for 30 years, he might be in luck. Otherwise, I don't think he's going to make it.
Looking at this, he was part of the original team.
I think he might be in a nursing home before the next Fallout comes out.
So negative, bro. So negative.
I'm just saying, unless he retires when he's 95, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know, because Obsidian made Fallout New Vegas, which is, I think, is seen by most people as the best Fallout game. They could do some. They don't have to do it as big as the mainline Fallouts. They could do something a bit smaller, same as New Vegas, and do something like that, because they've got the team to do it. They've got the expertise to do it. They've proven they can do it. They've proven they can do it better than the main Fallout series. So now they're owned by Xbox. Bethesda's owned by Xbox, Microsoft. So it's kind of really Uncle Phil's overall decision to say, yeah, we're going to greenlight you to go ahead and do something, picture something good, and see where we go from there.
Perfect solution right here. All those people that just got laid off by Microsoft, hire them back and put them on Obsidian and say start making that game right now.
No. Leave Obsidian. Let them do their thing.
I mean, Obsidian can get bigger, provided you have good management.
Yeah, they're quite a good studio, though, aren't they, Obsidian? They've, Outer Worlds was like a bit of a smaller title.
Yeah.
They made making that when they were acquired, so it went a title across all platforms. They're working on number 2, which I'm assuming it will be because it's going to be an Xbox exclusive. It's not going to be anywhere else apart from PC. Avowed.
Well, I mean,
had trouble with that, haven't they?
It will be on YouTube for the PlayStation gamers out there, so you will be able to watch other people enjoying it. I'm just saying.
Well, it's a good job.
Playing his game, yeah.
Yep.
It's as good. It's a good job I have both consoles, isn't it?
Yep.
I would argue that Obsidian was the best acquisition that Xbox has accomplished. I think that's a golden studio. I think everything they touch is amazing.
It's hard to disagree with that.
I look forward to anything they put out. Outer Worlds was a great game. And
yeah,
it was. Yeah. Where you can actually, become a psychopath in it and just start a mission and then just murder everyone, and it changes the parameters of the mission. Yeah, it's fun. They
don't miss, and I don't want Xbox to throw money at them and blow them up into a bigger studio. Leave them alone. Let them do what they do. You know what I mean? Let their culture stay the way it is.
I was a bit worried about Avowed because obviously we've sort of heard rumblings. Obviously nothing official, only like rumblings from insiders that know people in the studios that they've had a lot of issues and sort of had to. It's like not fully restart it, but like sort of reboot what they were doing. So everything that we saw at that Xbox showcase, was it last year or a year before? That's probably completely changed and gone now. But like you say, they hit, they do well, the games are brilliant. So only makes me more excited to play Avowed. Obviously, Outer Worlds too. I'm very excited to play. But yeah, it'd be nice to see him tackle maybe their own take on Fallout, because I'm assuming they may have a bit more freedom to do what they want with it now being Microsoft IP. So, but I'm looking forward to seeing if they actually do manage to get it done. But like you say, they've got that many games on at the moment. If it's going to be a reality, it's going to be years away.
Yeah. I mean, to say they brought out, if I remember rightly, they were given Fallout New Vegas and then were told you have a year.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like the longer time goes on, the more difficult it is to make games. It requires more resources. It takes longer. Everyone wants ray tracing in 4K with 60 frames. That shit takes time. It takes a lot of money, a lot of manpower to get those games on that level. I mean, for some of us that, so we feel some of the best games are on PS3 and Xbox 360. If it was 60 frames at 1080p, no ray tracing, we'd be all right with that, but a lot of people wouldn't,
No, I can agree with that. I mean, 360. I think personally, 360 and PS3 was a golden age in terms of gaming itself.
Yeah,
on its own. However, I think we are going towards that VR era.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All this point is past.
All the greatness is on PlayStation.
Oh. Well.
It's like I halfway expected you to say, all the greatness is in my lap with Jim Ryan. Oh,
that too. Uncle Jimmy.
Uncle Jimmy, huh?
Is he over your shoulder again, BMG?
No, he only touches me inappropriately here and there.
Okay.
if you get me a doll,
We're gonna get sued.
I'll point to
One day
where
this
it took me.
skit's gonna escalate to us getting sued. Just saying.
Can we just say we have the best lawyer in the business?
I don't think he'll take
right,
the case.
right.
Yeah.
I still don't get why he wears a priest outfit, but it's all right.
Oh my!
Oh my god.
I'll stop.
Please. Oh. Yeah. Oh god, I forgot these. I forgot about this one. These two are
What about Luke?
Luke.
Luke has left the chat.
Yeah.
I'm here. I was just recomposing myself after all that Jim Ryan priest talk.
Oh right, I figured you were like, fuck this, I'm out.
No, I mean, yeah, Obsidian. I think it's Fergus Urquhart, isn't it? That's the CEO. Yeah. So he's like in his 50s. I don't see why he couldn't make another Fallout. I mean, it depends on, if you think of Valve, it's probably the next couple of years, and then Outer Worlds 2 is probably the furthest thing away. That's probably maybe 4 years or so, 5 years.
Yeah.
He'll still be there, I would imagine, unless he decides to leave. He could make a new Fallout. I mean, I'm not. I really love Obsidian. I think they're a fantastic developer. Very consistent and have produced some really incredible stuff on very low budgets, which is, I think, what excited me about when they were acquired by Microsoft was that they didn't have to worry about that anymore. That they could kind of expand, and they have grown and build more high budget stuff. So looking forward to Avowed, obviously. I know some people get really excited about the idea of Obsidian making another Fallout. Personally, I don't, because I don't like Fallout very much. So it just, I've never clicked with that series. But I do know that, pretty much every Fallout fan I've ever spoken to kind of always say that New Vegas was the best, Fallout experience that they've had. I think Josh Sawyer did that one. He did New Vegas. He's still there. Obviously, he did Pentiment recently. That was his project. I think that they could make a great Fallout game. But I guess it also depends on what Bethesda want to do. After Elder Scrolls 6. Because you would assume at that point they will go to Fallout. So maybe it would again be Bethesda do a main game Fallout 5, and then Obsidian are making a smaller experience like New Vegas, which would be cool. Again, it wouldn't excite me because it's Fallout. I think it's not great, but I'd be excited to see what they do. I really want Obsidian just to make new stuff though, because I think they're really good at that, which is why I'm excited for Avowed, because that's they've never really done a first-person fantasy RPG before. Yeah. And this one's in the Pillars of Eternity universe, which is really cool. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I don't. A lot of people these days really, like to see developers, particularly in Xbox, in Xbox Studios, they like to kind of amalgamate developers to existing IP, and say, oh, X should make Y. And I don't really like that, because I'd prefer new stuff. I'd prefer Obsidian just keep making new IP alongside other things. So, I'm not like super hyped about the prospect of it, but I think it would be, obviously, it would make sense, maybe, for them in the future to make another Fallout. But we'll see, just let them make what they want to make. And if they want to make a new Fallout, then they should go for it.
I mean, a lot of the team from Obsidian, the original Black Isle Studios developers.
Yeah.
So they have the pre-existing knowledge of the Fallout universe. A lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on Starfield too.
Hell yeah!
That was exactly where I was heading next. And
oh, sorry.
yeah. I'm guessing this is to do with the 25th of January, with Starfield's release date being an announcement. It's
Nope.
coming very soon.
No, that's the staff. They've already said at the developer direct. They've already said the 4 studios that are going to be there. Starfield. They said it deserves its own spot, so that's not going to be at the event on the 25th. They did say they will be holding literally like pretty much like a state of play for one game. Dedicated to Starfield. So hopefully we get the release date, because a lot of advertisements are popping up now. And one thing people have noticed if you're buying the Series X and S consoles on the newer boxes, they've now taken Halo Infinite off, good riddance, and replaced it with Starfield on the back.
Ah, didn't know that.
Yeah, it's starting to pop up.
So, to ask the 2 main people about this, and I want this on video.
Yeah, it's technically
What
audio
frame rate?
because it's just the voice.
Yeah, but it's also. Shut up, Sentinel. You're getting me mixed up with me words. Oh, yeah. So yeah, I want to ask, what's the frame rate going to be?
30.
Luke and BMG.
60 frames. There is going to be a 4K 30 mode, and there is going to be a 1440p 60 frames mode.
There's no way. It's Bethesda. It's going to be 30 frames per second, and that's it.
Just ignore what BMG says, because there's a lot of copium there.
Yeah.
He's trying to hold on hope that Todd will deliver on the frame rate front, but Todd's never delivered on the frame rate front.
Nope.
So yeah, no, it'll be 30. No modes. Maybe they'll get like a post-launch performance mode, like down the line. But for launch, I think you'll get one mode, 4K, dynamic 4K 30 FPS.
It's why they delayed it. They delayed the game to get that 60 frames.
They delayed it because it's not ready. That's why they delayed it.
Uncle Phil went down there and went, "Hey, mate Todd, come on, 60 frames, man. We're in the future of games now. I'm not living in the past. 30 is dirty. That's all I'm going to say."
So it'll come out and it'll be 30 frames per second. And Todd Howard is like, what am I, a miracle worker? And Phil Spencer will bring in ID Software, and they'll be like, hey, they'll announce the next week, hey, we just released a patch. Starfield runs at 120 frames per second, 4K. And you're like, what? How the hell did they do that? Oh, they had id Software. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, well, they'll have done that, but they'll have converted the game from a wide scale RPG to a linear corridor shooter or something like that to get that frame rate.
Yeah, where you got to rip apart aliens and shit. Yep.
Yeah,
all we had to do was remove all the systems, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah, we just had to get rid of all the RPG elements. That's all we had to do.
There you go.
That's fine. That'll do.
And we had to add a heavy metal soundtrack, by the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we now have Doom.
Yeah, it'll just be the new Doom at that point.
We have Fill Out instead of Doom. It's Fell Out.
But yeah, I mean, like they're just not. I mean, Bethesda are known for many things, but technical prowess is not one of them.
I look forward to falling through the map and ending up in a black hole or some shit, and it wasn't intended.
Yeah.
Skyrim runs at 4K 60.
Yeah, but Skyrim's like 45 years old.
Doesn't matter.
At this point,
it's still got it.
It does still have it, but it's not. I mean,
I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that Skyrim's been out longer than a third of my life.
Yeah.
But you've also got to remember, Bethesda didn't have Xbox before, and now they do.
So now they can launch 30 frames per second, and that'll be it. And everyone will be like,
yeah, now they can launch games at a solid 30 frames per second. Now that they've got Xbox, no drops.
You know what? If it's 30 frames per second and it's locked, I don't think I'll complain, because it's like, like that kid that can barely pass the fucking test. That's Bethesda. You're like, D is good enough. Fuck it.
yeah. With Bethesda, if you get a decent resolution and you get a solid 30, no drops, then I think they've done pretty well.
Yeah, because people were saying Fallout 4 was dropping to 15 frames per second. It's like, Jesus Christ.
That's good, bro. That's good.
Yeah, like in 1986.
No, games ran at 60 FPS.
That's VR FPS.
Right.
I don't think Starfield, this will sound weird, but I don't think it needs 60, as in it's not Doom, right? It's not a fast-paced first-person shooter. It has shooting in it, but it's not it's not going to blow the world away, the shooting mechanics. Quite a slow-paced shooting game. So it doesn't need 60. I mean, it would be great to have it, but then that's why you get your PC and it's Bethesda, so you'll probably have to struggle to get 60 as well, even there. But at least you will be able to push it. But yeah, I can't see it being 60 on consoles, not at launch anyway. Because as well, like the thing with Bethesda games is that they tend to be super CPU intensive because of their engine and all the kind of simulation stuff that's going on in there. And when you do that, you're invariably going to struggle to really push up frame rates. So, it'd be interesting to see, like, how does it run on Series S? Like, what does that look like? Which is stripped down as well. So,
30 frames per second at 1080p, probably.
Yeah,
probably. It may even be lower than 1080p. It may be some dynamic, up to 1080p. We don't know. I mean, I'd give Bethesda the benefit of the doubt if they were another developer, but their games have never launched in a particularly great state, so or at least a state where you're kind of happy with it day one.
Well, and they keep sticking with the creation engine, and it's been around since 1999.
Yeah, a long time. And I get why. I mean, they've said because it's kind of custom built for their for the way that they build RPGs and the way that they place objects in the world and all the stuff they do. They have, I think Todd said that they'd heavily modified it for Starfield, to bring in next generation features. But it's underlying it's still the same engine. Yeah. I don't think they're ever going to move away. And I think people have to accept if that's the case, they're only ever going to be able to push visuals and frame rate and resolution so much in that engine, But does anybody, if it's an incredible Bethesda experience, if it's Oblivion level or Skyrim level or stuff, does anyone really care that much as long as it's good solid frame rate? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, well, and that's the important thing, a good solid frame rate. It's like
as long as it's not dropping.
Yeah, if it's 30 frames per second and it's locked, even if you're encountering 5-6 bad guys on screen and you're shooting at them and moving and stuff, as long as it doesn't drop, I don't think too many people are going to complain about 30.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll complain. They'll
Well,
complain
they will
because
complain,
it's an exclusive.
No, some people will complain because it's not VR, and we know who those people are.
Hey, I'm excited for Starfield. It's the biggest game I'm excited for this year, and I think without comparison. But I've also set my expectations towards what they can deliver, and I'm excited for the systems that are not present in other games. I'm excited for the sandbox and what I'm going to be able to do and the replay value and places I'll be able to go. And I'm going to play it on PC, so I'm not locked at 30 because that's what it's going to run on console. But it's like you wouldn't play a Call of Duty and then have expectations that it would have like an amazing story or RPG elements, right? So you got to set your expectations for where they're aiming. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But I think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think I've seen a lot of posts about. I think people need to rein in their hype about it a little bit. As in, I think everything on paper looks like it will be a really great experience, but I don't think it's going to be doing anything like super revolutionary in terms of even Bethesda games. It's just bigger scale, bigger scope. I've seen posts saying it's one of the most ambitious games in years, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I just think it's it's going to be a huge game, and it kind of takes everything that Bethesda have done in the past, but makes it big scale. I think if you're looking for that kind of experience, which will probably, who knows when it'll ever come out, but like Star Citizen is the kind of thing that will be, is truly ambitious. Whether it comes out or not is another thing. But you can expect one thing from that. That's trying to do something, way different with a much bigger budget than Starfield is doing. Starfield, I don't think it's a super revolutionary thing. It doesn't look like one, but it does look very, very good and very ambitious for Bethesda. So I think people just need to kind of get their expectations in check, because you never know how this stuff will turn out. Like, it could be, an amazing experience. I think it probably will be, but we've had Cyberpunk, right, which was...
Yes.
People built themselves up heavily on Cyberpunk as well to be this kind of revolutionary thing. And it wasn't, in the end. It was just a good game that was a poor at launch. Hopefully that's not the case here, but I think people just need to rein themselves in slightly.
Yeah, it does seem...
Go ahead, Son.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, it does seem like the hype is out of control. And I think even if it's a great game, there's still going to be some of those people that are so hyped, they're still going to be disappointed.
Yeah, because they've built it up for themselves too much, almost. So, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not just excited for the game. I'm excited for what comes next. There's some comments about the older engine.
Yeah.
I think almost every engine is built on the bones of an old engine. I think the Slip Space engine that Infinite's using is based on the bones of their old engines, right? So I don't get hung up on that too much, and I appreciate that if this is an evolution of their old engine, then at least the mod tools will probably kind of be in place easier than otherwise. Yeah. And then the modding community for Bethesda games is kind of unmatched for what they can do. And as far as saying whether it's the most ambitious game ever made, like, who else makes games like Bethesda makes games, right? And then you could laugh at the bugs and the issues and all that, but nobody's really trying to make experiences like that. They either make these hyper-focused linear experiences, hugely cinematic, and some people really like that, and some people like these sandbox simulations. And I don't think anybody even tries to compete with Bethesda on that ground. So, I mean, you could come out with a Skyrim 2 with a different map and a whole host of new quests, and even if it was kind of the same in every other regard, people would still be stoked, because nothing has really come along to do what Skyrim did, at least not on the level it did it. So I do think it's hugely ambitious in that regard, because nobody else even tries. And whatever they have to make it run at to get that done, I understand, because I don't think anybody else attempts the systems the way they do.
The one thing, that I really like about, and I know Luke said he doesn't like Fallout 4, but Luke, how did you feel about Skyrim? Was it a game that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, so it's weird because, like, Oblivion and Skyrim and Morrowind to an extent are some of my favorite games of all time. Yeah. Even though they are effectively the same Bethesda RPG but in a fantasy setting. Yeah. As Fallout, I think there's something about the setting of Fallout and maybe the shooting mechanic element as well that just doesn't click with me in the way that Skyrim and Oblivion do. Yeah. Or did.
And I completely get that, because that's how I feel about Skyrim. It's like I played Skyrim, I just didn't like it at all. But it's like Fallout. Yeah. Fallout 4 is like one of my top 10.
Yeah, exactly. So so I'm actually really interested, like, because if I were to rank Starfield in terms of where it is in my most anticipated game for this year, it probably wouldn't. It'd probably be like maybe just get into the top 10. It might be outside of it, because for me, I don't know whether it will fall into a Skyrim Oblivion experience or a Fallout one, and I won't know until I play it. So it's kind of like something that's not particularly hyped for me, which might lend itself well to my my favor, because I go in with not huge expectations.
What if, kind of to your point, same topic. What if Fallout, instead of leaning into the humor like it does, would lean into kind of that sense of exploration and wonder and what's possible? You see what I mean? In that way, Starfield will be different.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, the closest, I guess the closest things that I've played to Starfield, which don't have the RPG element in, or at least the kind of defined RPG element, are No Man's Sky, obviously, which is a natural comparison, even though that's, not the same sort of thing. Star Citizen, which I have played, and I enjoyed both of those things from what I've played. Certainly the setting, the exploration elements, etc. So I think one of the big things will be, how the story lands. I mean, you don't play Bethesda games for stories, but I never really found the Fallout ones very engaging, whereas I did with the Elder Scrolls games. But again, I think that's more a setting thing, so I'll have to see. And also, I need to see how they've adjusted combat. Because I really hated Fallout combat, Fallout 3, New Vegas, and 4. If those things land, particularly the combat element, I think I'll really enjoy Starfield, because everything else, as you say, like the kind of sense of exploration, space setting, all of that, I really love in games. So it's not like Fallout where I don't particularly enjoy the world of Fallout, so it's kind of difficult to kind of engross myself into. So I'm optimistic. It's just not a super like I'm much more looking forward to Redfall as an example than Starfield, if you're talking about Bethesda generally. But we'll see. Better be a good PC port though, because if it's not, I'll
Well, the good thing about
Howard.
the good thing about the Bethesda community is it'll take the developers like 5 years to make a game, and they release it with tons of bugs, and it'll take someone in the community who works part-time at a liquor store, it'll take them like 3 days to fix the problems.
To fix it, yeah.
You know what'll take a long time to fix? Trying to laser that tattoo off BMG when he's wrong.
Oh, Jesus.
I hope you've all got your speeches ready to Sir Howard when you're all wrong. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I mean, I'm optimistic. I mean, I'm not super hyped for it. Like, I don't think it's going to be the next Skyrim. I just don't. But because it's hard to fill those shoes. But it's like I am looking forward to it enough to where when on the day that I download it, I'm gonna play it. It's not going in my backlog like some of the games that just came out did. I am gonna play it right when it comes out.
I'll play it when I get around to it.
Wow.
I wanted to play it. I just don't. I know I won't have the money for it.
It's free on Game Pass.
It's on Game Pass, so yeah.
Oh, fair enough. I'll play it day one. If I've got internet.
Anime Razza, I don't know if you know this, but Microsoft acquired this small company, Bethesda and ZeniMax. So them games are classed as first party, and they come in Game Pass day and date.
Wow.
But Todd Howard's going to probably block all of you for talking so much bad about Starfield.
I have said nothing bad.
You haven't said out positive.
I haven't said. I have been sitting on the fence.
No, don't worry.
Like a good host.
My mate Todd, we're like close.
I swear, guys, are we pretty sure the BMG just leaves the stream and the podcast and goes and has a three-way with Todd Howard and Jim Ryan?
Yeah, we have tea. We have afternoon tea every Sunday.
This is a weird podcast. You know what I mean? This is a weird podcast.
Definitely.
Hey, at least we're admitting it.
Razza's like, Jesus Christ. Okay, moving on.
I don't know whether I want to I feel like putting BMG in timeout.
Yeah. Like, BMG, 5 minutes, penalty box.
Especially seeing as I'm about to bring up Marvel.
Oh, Jesus, no. I don't want to hear any more about Marvel Snap, I'm just saying.
Not Marvel Snap, but Marvel Avengers.
Mobile game of the year.
That's it, timeout.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Marvel Avengers. It's receiving its final update on the main update on update 2.8 on the 31st of March. And then will no longer be officially supported from the 30th of September. How old is that game now?
Oh shit! Like 2 years? I don't even know.
About 2 years, yeah. About 2 year old. I like Marvel Avengers. It's the game's good. It plays well. The story's really really good in it. I enjoyed the story. Personally, I'd rather it just been a single player game because the story was brilliant. Multiplayer, it's there just wasn't much in there. The whole leveling system, 20 different currencies for different vendors and things, was a bit of a pain. And it was hard because the idea was with the multiplayer, leveling up your gear, getting new items and things like that. And but trying to play with friends, you could only do certain missions with friends. Other than that, you had to play with randoms. It was
All over the place.
yeah, it was all over the place. There was no clear roadmap. Things were getting delayed left, right, and centre. They kept going back and forth and changing things that didn't make sense. But it was an enjoyable game. I really, really enjoyed it, and I will be jumping back into it. For before support and all that ends. I want to jump back in and have another play. Maybe redo the story, bit more multiplayer, but the characters were good. The issue was that the game was delayed when it originally came out, way after the hype of Avengers Endgame when it should have released,
Yeah.
because that's when it would have got its main audience, but they just kept delaying it and delaying it. And I just think that shows that Square Enix they're probably one of the worst publishers going now. All they seem to care about really is Final Fantasy. Anything else is just, it's an afterthought, try and cash grab.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're having to. I believe the reason, I think it's September, they're actually delisting the game. You'll still be able to play it if you own the game. So if you don't have the game yet, or you do want to play it, now's kind of the time to jump in. Because I think the reason they're delisting it is because the license ends, and obviously they don't want to renew the Marvel license to keep a game going that they're not supporting anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm quite disappointed that it has got to this point, but they only got themselves to blame. It was just, there was no clear map, and when they did have a map, they then threw that out the window because it didn't work. Content was just delayed constantly. I understood why they delayed the Black Panther content, because it was literally Chad Boseman had passed away, so they didn't want to be insensitive or anything like that, so they delayed it, which was understandable. But they had the raid type thing mission was ready to go a year and a half ago, and they accidentally made it live. A handful of people managed to play it, and then they just took it out and wouldn't speak about it again until about 3 months ago. So it's a shame. It actually is a good game. The mechanics are all right. It was just a disaster. Not as bad as Halo's disaster, but it was a disaster.
Yeah, it's you know what, and I kind of feel like Guardians of the Galaxy suffered because of Marvel's Avengers. And the reason why I say that is because Marvel's Avengers released in September of 2020, right? And everyone was like, "Oh, Square Enix cannot make a good comic book game." And then, of course, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy comes out in 2021, and it actually came out almost a year later, or a little over a year later, October 26th of 2021. And of course, we know Guardians of the Galaxy was tremendous, but the reason why it was tremendous was because it focused on single player. Whereas Marvel's Avengers was all about the whole multiplayer and the arena combat and all that shit. And it's like you don't have to do that. It's like like BMG said, it just it felt like they could have made a better game, but it would require one cohesive vision rather than them trying to do all this different stuff.
Yeah, well, we all know that Wanda would have been happy with a clear vision.
Yeah.
Pass.
What are you guys talking about?
Marvel Avengers.
Oh, well, you can skip me on that one. I don't care.
Fair enough. Luke?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's it's not surprising. The game kind of struggled from day one almost because of various reasons, but I think trying to blend a single player experience with a live service multiplayer title is just kind of a recipe for disaster, really. And kind of everything that I played and everything that I saw in terms of impressions of the game, suggested that it was really confused as a result and didn't really work particularly well. Just little things of the game, like loot not being visible, stuff like that. If you're going to do live service, then you want a reason to continue playing in terms of progressing your character. But if you can't see things on your character, if you're going to pick a skin, like that doesn't really work from a live service perspective, I don't think. Single player was decent, not amazing. It could have been very good, and I think if they'd just stopped trying to make it a live service and just gone with a Guardians of the Galaxy type single player experience where it's a pure single player game and you play as you could play as multiple different Avengers in this, like you do in the first mission of that game, right, where you play as different people. That probably would have done better for them because I think it would have been a much more coherent game. It's just, I think Square had unrealistic expectations probably as well in terms of its success, which it clearly didn't hit. I don't really have much to say other than, it could have been something really good, but it just wasn't. Lessons learned, and obviously we'll, if you want a great single-player Marvel experience outside of something like Spider-Man, then go and play Guardians of the Galaxy, which was a really great game, and kind of the way to do an ensemble comic cast without making it multiplayer focused or live service focused. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like all the great superhero games and comic book games that we've had thus far have been almost predominantly single player. You look at the Batman series, you look at Spider-Man, of course Guardians of the Galaxy, they're all single player focused with a great story, and it feels like I would say lessons learned, but I doubt Square Enix learned anything from this,
It's one of them. I think, me personally, like, I do enjoy Final Fantasy. However, my favorite game from Square Enix is The Last Remnant. Woo, shock, horror. No one's heard of it.
I've never heard of it.
No, I've heard of it. I haven't actually played it, but I've heard good things.
It's fun. It's a Final Fantasy style game,
Yeah.
but set in a completely different universe. And I've only managed to play it again on the Switch and the PlayStation, and it's only available on the Switch and the PlayStation, not the Xbox. Which, for a remake or a remaster, is very strange to me. To say it was originally on the Xbox as well. But yeah, and I think this is probably going to be my final topic of today. Ubisoft's CEO saying sorry when he appeared to place the burden of responsibility for reversing the company's fortunes at the hand of its developers. Luke, I'll start with you on that.
Yeah, I think he had to apologise after what he said during the kind of earnings call and their financial forecast stuff, because he effectively said, "Yep, we're not in a great state as a company. So developers, if you could work extra hard, that would be great. I'm expecting good things from you," which is probably one of the stupidest CEO comments I think I've heard from an earnings call before. So I think he tried to give himself an out by saying that he didn't mean it in the way that it came across. That he was kind of saying, look, we're all in this together. We all need to kind of push to make the company more successful, which I just think is total nonsense, because clearly he didn't mean that. He meant what he said. So he's had to kind of backtrack on that, rightly so, because I don't really think the problems at Ubisoft are developer driven. They're kind of creative lead / management driven, in terms of kind of recycling ideas and chasing trends and doing all the things you're not supposed to do as a game publisher. And they've kind of reached a saturation point now, Ubisoft, where they've kind of got as much as they can out of their core franchises like Assassin's Creed, and they will always be successful, but it's not enough to kind of carry them year to year, particularly because those games are getting bigger and even more expensive to make. And to be fair, that's probably why they've been chasing trends for so long, because unlike EA or Epic or Activision, they don't have this kind of recurrent games as a service title that just lasts forever and kind of prints money so that they can make other things. I mean, not that Activision do that anyway, but they don't have that, like Apex Legends or Fortnite or Call of Duty or anything like that, where they have a kind of game that has fairly low overheads in terms of the ongoing service game. Ubisoft instead have to spend an enormous amount of money to make an Assassin's Creed game, and then try and get money out of microtransactions and adding content to it, which in itself keeps costing them money as well. So that's why they've done what they've done over the last few years, where you've just seen many different battle royales, and then they pivoted to free to play, and then they've tried to make single player games more service based. And I just think it's reached a point where they're just not being successful with that, so they need to try something different. But yeah, Eve's just a stupid statement. I'm glad he apologized for it, but it doesn't detract from the statement that he made. And I think developers, Ubisoft didn't take very kindly to it, clearly. So it's a pretty tough time for Ubisoft, I think. It's really interesting to see where they go from here and what they make next and how they focus their portfolio. But it's going to take time to right that ship. I don't really know if the Guillemot family are, the right people to do that now. I think maybe they've had that heyday, as of 10 years ago. I think it probably needs something else. But I don't know what that is. So yeah, they're in a pretty tough environment, I think.
So we need Saudi Arabia to buy them.
If that or Tencent, I think. And I mean, look, that wouldn't solve their problems, but at least I suppose that it would give them a safety net of funds, so that they could either try different things or they could double down on their big franchises. I think the problem at the minute for them is that even though they're still a very profitable company, they've doubled down on their franchises already. Things like Assassin's Creed, Tom Clancy's name, that sort of stuff. They're kind of getting diminishing returns with all of that, and I don't think they're confident enough in terms of cash flow and various other things to think about doing some really big new ideas, and maybe getting a mega hit out of that. So they're kind of in this kind of entrenched position where they probably know they need to try and make a new trend, do something new, but they can't because they don't have the fallback of something like an Apex or a Fortnite or a Warzone or something like that. If they were to be acquired by someone else, particularly like a Tencent, they would have that fallback. Albeit, I wouldn't expect Tencent to go out and say, "Yeah, let's go and make some really cool single player games." I don't think that's really Tencent's bag. Tencent's bag is let's make big live service games, which is fine. They'd still do Assassin's Creed and stuff, but it's difficult. I don't know what direction they're going to head in over the next few years, but we'll see.
Pass.
I don't entirely know the context in which he made the statement. I don't entirely disagree with him, right? The idea that the devs are going to need to rise to the occasion to make, well, nobody else is going to rise to the occasion and save the company, right? So if they're to carry on like they have, then it is up to the devs, right? So I think there's a certain honesty in that statement, but I don't think it solves the core problem they're facing. And I think a lot of the other studios and developers and publishers are facing too. I think they have overestimated how much gamers are willing to fund and support. And they keep coming out with these hugely ambitious efforts that they realize they're never going to reach potential. So they launch in a service state and then they try to support, and either it strikes like fire and people love it and people support it, or it doesn't, which is in most cases, right? And trying to generate something like a Fortnite or an Apex Legends or a Minecraft on purpose, right? Something that just hits people right and they love it and they support it forever. I think that's impossible. And you can't build your market strategy around the idea that you are going to create the next Fortnite. You can't do that. So I think a lot of these publishers and studios need to downsize and need to focus on putting out regular quality content that is within the bounds of expectations and reality, something you could actually create and people would love. And that doesn't seem to be what everybody is trying to do. So I think a statement like that speaks to kind of a tone deaf corporate, but that's everywhere, right? I see that all the time. So I don't like having a strong opinion on the guy without knowing anything about him. I don't know what kind of person he is. I don't know how he treats his employees and things like that. I understand why people were irritated at the statement, because usually management is to blame. In my experience, that is 99% of your problems, because management will create poor employees and bad productivity and moving goalposts and changing ideas and unlaunched ideas and launch new ideas and chasing trends, and just they will squander so much energy and resource and money and fatigue their employees, right? So there's a really good chance that management is to blame. And then the broad statement that the developers need to dig them out of the hole, if that includes your management, then I do think they need to acknowledge the adjustments that need to be made. But so all that is a way for me to say I don't know, because I don't have enough information. And I think this is a symptom of a larger problem that we'll see them address. We'll see. I think everybody's going to have to downsize going forward, or I think they've just overestimated what gamers can support.
Sentinel?
I think, I feel like Ubisoft has so much potential, but, and I reference a couple of instances, specifically in Assassin's Creed. It feels like upper level management doesn't necessarily listen to what the developers know will work or how they want to tell a story, like how, it's been told before that Evie Fry was supposed to be the only character in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, but then management wouldn't go for it, so they wrote in the Jacob brother, and of course they became the Fry twins. The same thing with Alexios and Cassandra in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that management just they were not hearing at all, solely a female character. And I mean, like Pest said, there's a lot of stuff going on. It is hard to say whether, what's going on with this guy or the context that it was in. But I think what happened is he said something he possibly meant it one way and said it another way, trying to motivate the people, saying, "Hey, you know what? We're in this mess." But rather than saying like, "Hey, we're down, but we're not out, and every single one of you can help us, get back to where we need to be." He said, "Hey, it's on you to get us out." And you can mean something, but if you say it the wrong way, people will absolutely be pissed at how you put it. And I mean, it can turn something small into something big. And again, that's not saying that the problems at Ubisoft are small. Just judging from how they've been performing and how much they're chasing trends and stuff. When it comes to problems with workplace or whatever, almost everything is management's fault. Because management can take corrective actions to fix employee problems, but if there's widespread problems and they're being ignored, that's management's fault. So him being at the top of the food chain in Ubisoft, all the shit going wrong is his fault, either directly or indirectly. Indirectly, of course, he sees problems, but he's not fixing them. You look at all these different franchises. You look at Ghost Recon. You had Breakpoint. A lot of people didn't like Breakpoint because they're trying to mix and match shit you see in Far Cry with Breakpoint. And it's like, stop, don't do that. Let each of these IPs have their own feel and their own identity. Don't try to mix them up and say, oh, this worked in Far Cry, so we'll put it in Ghost Recon. It's like, don't do that shit. So it's like, keep each one of these where they are their own, where they're their own IP. It's their own feel. You play a Far Cry game and you know exactly what you're going to get. Don't mix it with another game or another mechanics that work in one of your other games. Don't mix it. And I do think they need to reboot a lot of these IPs. What they're doing with Assassin's Creed Mirage, they need to do with Watch Dogs. They need to do with The Crew. They need to do with Far Cry. I know I've had this conversation before on at least a couple of podcasts that they need to make Far Cry where, if you're on a jungle island, every moment that you're on that jungle island until you escape, you're having to fight for your life. It's like not once do you have the advantage against wildlife, against pirates, on any of that stuff, because I love Far Cry 3. It was such a phenomenal game. But I think the biggest complaint I have is after about 20 minutes, if you're hunting and you're gathering stuff like you're supposed to and you're leveling up, you essentially are pretty capable. You can be running around and taking out 10, 15 pirates at once. If they really want Far Cry to really succeed, you have to make it a knockdown, drag-out fight for survival. But they need to do that with every single franchise they have, really lean on what makes that franchise special. And you can make it single player and make a shitload of money, because look at Grand Theft Auto 5. Yeah, people play Grand Theft Auto Online, but look how many people have bought copies of Grand Theft Auto 5. If you make a product that is single player and that people enjoy, they're going to buy it. Like how many copies of Spider-Man did Insomniac and PlayStation sell? If you make a quality product that's single player, people will buy it. And Ubisoft just needs to embrace that, and they really need to go back to the drawing board with what made each of their intellectual properties special.
I think Raz has
PMG?
gone. All right,
that's
where you left. It's, to be honest, there's not a great deal more I can add to it. Everyone's kind of said everything, really. Yeah, he put that email out, and I do believe that he was putting the onus on the developers, making the game, saying, almost like, this is your fault that we're in the state we're in, so it's up to you to fix it and get us out of it. And then I think the backlash of that and that becoming public, he's had to kind of reword it and say, no, I meant we're in it all together. But at the end of the day, the developers that are actually making the games make really good games. They look good, they play well, they look beautiful mostly. But it's the management. It's management that tell them what they want in it and how they want it to play. They're just making what they're being told to make. So I think it is kind of passing that buck a bit by telling them, no, you've got us in this mess, or you need to get us out of it. That's the way I took it. Passing the buck, not taking responsibility, and he's only walked it back because of that reason. But to be honest, other than that, there's not much more I can add, really. What everyone here has said, I agree with as well. It's a wait and see what happens. There's a lot of Ubisoft staff that are furious, aren't happy with that, and by the sounds of it, it's just not a nice place to work. It's not a nice company to work for, because literally when you got management breathing down your neck, telling you, we need this, you need to conclude this, you need to make this, you need to add that. And then when it goes wrong, it's the devs that are getting the blame, not the management for giving them the direction. At the end of the day, the book should stop with Yves Guillemot, and it's he's the one that should be taking responsibility for it. But other than that, there's not a great deal more I can add, if I'm honest.
Yeah, so we're getting to that time of show again, where we play 20 questions. And today, I'm handing over to BMG.
Yes.
Take it away.
Oh yes.
No more BioShock games. No more BioShock games.
Don't worry. I've got all my notes here. I've got everything that I think that I need. Just everyone in the chat and for Luke as well, and anyone listening back on demand. The way it works is I have a game in mind, and the panel has 20 questions to guess that game, and I answer yes and no. But your final question has to be the game that you are guessing. If you guess a game before then and it's wrong, the panel loses. So far, 2 for 2. So we will see how we go. So let the questioning begin.
Yeah, we're going to start with the usual questions. Era. Guys?
Yes.
Was it brought out before the 1st of January 2000?
No.
Was it brought after the 31st of December 2009?
Was it brought out after 31st of December 2009? Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so that gives us 12 years. So that gives us the Xbox 360, Xbox One, and Xbox Series years. I'm going to take a wild guess. Is it generation Xbox One PS4?
Yes.
Is it an exclusive to one of the platforms?
Yes.
Wait, damn it. Is it still an exclusive to one of the platforms?
Well, I mean, hang on a second. I said, is it an exclusive to one of the platforms? I didn't say did it launch as. So it is. Right?
Yeah, it is an exclusive to a platform.
Okay. So is
Dude,
it
you checked me, bro. You
PlayStation
checked me, bro, and I didn't even mess up, bro.
Is it a third-person over-the-shoulder action game?
Yes.
Well, that narrows down to one console. No, I'm just like.
Okay.
Why don't we narrow down which console it's on?
Is it Xbox One exclusive?
Yes.
Is it Stubbs' favourite series?
No.
That rolls out Gears.
Not Gears of War.
Is there more than one game in the franchise?
No.
Ooh. So it's a third-person, over-the-shoulder action game. It was exclusive to the Xbox One, not Gears of War. No other games in the series.
I will say, just so I'm not throwing anyone or anything like that, this is technically the only game they made, but it may reference another game.
Oh well, I know what that one is. I already know what that one is.
Well, let's work our way that direction, Sentinel.
Okay. Was it made by the makers of Max Payne?
No.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Not a Remedy game then.
Yep.
Oh, did Remedy make Max Payne?
Yes.
Then that'll be a yes. I do apologize. No,
It's
I didn't-
another Bioshock situation.
Hey,
No,
Remedy,
no.
you're cheating already, bro.
No, I double checked. So that'll be a yes. Sorry, I thought Max Payne was done by Rockstar.
You thought wrong, bro. Thought
I
wrong.
did. That's my bad. So the answer to that one is yes.
I mean, we pretty much know what it is, but you know.
Yeah, I think
We got a whole bunch of questions left if you want to safely work your way towards it.
Yeah, we could do that.
Luke?
Does it star? I'm trying. How many questions have we got left?
You've got 11.
Oh God!
So,
I mean, we might as well just ask random questions related to this game.
So we're
now.
like, let's throw out there what you think it is here, Sentinel, without asking BMG here, just so we're all on the same page. It sounds like Quantum Break, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So did this game release with a TV show?
Yes.
Okay.
Does it star Sean Ashmore?
Yes.
I need to know how to spell that for my notes, Luke.
just put essay.
I'm gonna cut it. I already forgot what it means.
Does it contain time powers?
Yes.
We should totally drag this out for all the questions and then get it wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it's Alan Wake.
I love it.
Right.
Is it overrated?
Dude, that's subjective. That's subjective.
I wouldn't
I know.
say it's overrated.
That was a joke question.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man.
Does it have an FBI character in it who is a master of Jeet Kune Do?
Well, maybe. Yes.
That shows you haven't played it if you don't know the answer to that question.
No, I have played.
Shame.
We lost Raza.
He's gone.
Yeah, he's like, I'm out.
And we can't end the show without him.
That's awesome. It's live forever.
Oh, yep.
You just gonna give it to us, BMG? We got this, right?
Yeah, you've got it. It's you're right. It is Quantum Break.
Okay.
Released in 2016, Xbox One exclusive. Developed by Remedy Entertainment, published by Xbox Game Studio.
Considered
funny.
overrated by Luke.
Yeah,
I really liked Quantum Break, but I played it with the worst glitch and I didn't know it. Because I was using quick resume, I had this like extreme lens glare, like this just constant flaring. So no matter where I looked, I was blind the whole time, and I thought that was a like art design choice. So I played through like 90% of the game just being blinded by all light sources because I thought it was intentional. And I was complaining to a friend about it, and he's like, "Man, I don't even know what you're talking about." But I really liked that game. I didn't think it was amazing, but I liked it.
I think it's like good. I don't think it's as good as pretty much most things that Remedy have made. I think it's one of their weakest games.
yeah.
Sorry, I missed that.
We got
It was Quantum Break.
Yeah.
Ah, right, okay.
But yeah, I had to, because like when you said, is it, any other games in the series? Obviously there isn't, but is technically connected to the Alan Wake universe, and you actually near the start of Quantum Break, when you're going through the like the hall where the chalkboard thing is, actually says Alan Wake on it, and it references it, and then Control also references Alan Wake, which is also connected to Quantum Break. So it's like, yeah, I knew that would pretty much give it away. But if I had just said no, you all would have crucified me for it at the end, and I didn't want to go down there again. Yeah, that's it. We're done, anime.
Yay!
Well, I want to say thank you to our guests tonight. I want to start with Sentinel. Where can we find you?
I am on Twitter and Twitch. My handle is Sentinel17. It's S3NT 1N3L17 Sentinel17 on Twitter and Twitch.
Oh, sorry. Just before you go any further, one sec. I've just got an email from 2K Games, obviously with the leaks that hit yesterday. W2K23 is coming in March.
Outstanding.
Fair enough.
That's ruined a topic for PSN tomorrow. Never mind.
So yeah, there's that. Anyway, next, Pest. Where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube and Twitter at A Friendly Pest, where I run my own YouTube channel featuring a lot of different VR games. I just want to say thank you to Luke for hanging out with us today. It was a pleasure to podcast with you. You have a lot of very fair and even, thoughtful takes that you base on experience, and I appreciate you sharing your time with us today.
Very much.
BMG.
Yeah, so obviously you can find me here at Stasis Chat. You can find me on Twitter at Boldman Gamer. You can also find me on the XPN network. I am co-host with Sentinel on the PSN Party podcast and a panel member on the XPL Party podcast. And we are doing a live watch along to the Xbox Bethesda Developer Direct on Wednesday as well. So check out the socials for that one.
Forza Motorsport.
Is that a racing game?
We absolutely should have talked about that. It's coming up in 2 days, and we didn't even talk about it. I'm fairly excited about it, too.
Yeah, me too.
What, is it coming out?
I forgot. Damn it. So yeah.
Sentinel.
Yeah.
A Sentinel.
I already asked Sentinel. Sentinel went first. Luke.
Did he?
Honored guest.
He did.
Yeah.
Oh. I wasn't listening. I apologize.
Wow.
So,
Fucking Marvel Snap, I swear to God.
I'm putting it
out
down.
too
I'm putting it down. I was just actually playing the game, but I put it down.
I like how it's true. No, thank you very much for having me, and a pleasure to do it all with you. Yeah, you can find me at Luke Steele 90 on Twitter, and just go there to see the nonsense that I post.
Nice.
Yeah, well, welcome to the nonsensical podcast.
Stuff isn't here, so that's not entirely accurate.
Yeah, right?
This is true. Wow. Yeah, me, myself, and I, you can find me here on youtube.com at AnimeRazza. And you can find me at Twitter at AnimeRazza. So I want to thank Luke for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. I bet you it's been a nice change of pace not being asked about the CMA.
Yeah, no, it has. That's always enjoyable. Well, it's enjoyable talking about it, but not like every week as it got to at one point. So.
Yeah.
I can understand it, but Yeah, so that's it. I want to say, can we just all, for the last time, get it out of our system? Luke Steele.
Luke Steele.
Luke Steele.
Nice. I like the
nice.
different take. Yeah, I like it. You got to mix it up.
Hello, my name is Gilmore.
Man, damn, I really thought we were
Oh
going to
my
get through the
God.
show without that.
Steele.
And I wasn't going to say anything until this was over. How happy I was we got through it without that. There.
Right.
Honestly, I came into this episode half expecting us to go every 10 seconds, Luke Steele. But yeah, that's it for this episode, this podcast. So remember, guys, as always, thanks, Frosty.
Later.